Well, good afternoon, dear learners. I welcome you all in this session on final accounts. So, we are discussing the adjustments while preparing the financial statements. How to deal with the adjustments when we have been provided with the informations outside the trial balance. So, in continuance of that, we will now discuss the next adjustment, that is on provision for discount on debtor. So, well friend, when provision for discount on debtor is given in the adjustments as additional information, then how to deal with this adjustment, let us see. In the case of debts outstanding at the end of the current year, discount will be allowed in the next year if the debtor make the prompt payments. So, the discount is always given to the debtors in order to motivate them to make the prompt payments. So, this cash discount is an expenses for the business, and being the expenses for the business, it has to be debited from the profit and loss account. So, as in case of anticipated loss on account of doubtful debts, a provision must be made for the discount likely to be allowed to the debtors in the next year. Such a provision is known as provision for discount on debtors. So, well friends, this provision for discount on debtor is always given on the amount of debtors which are after the subtraction of further bad debts and after the subtraction of new provision. So, I would advise my learners that they must always remember that the cash discount to the debtors is always given on the fresh amount of debtor which we arrived at after subtracting the amount of further bad debts and after subtracting the amount of new provision. So, these two things must be subtracted first from the amount of debtors while calculating the amount of discount or while making the provision for discount on debtors, because we provide the discount on debtors to those debtors which are fresh one, where we do not have any doubts, the debtors which are good. So, in order to recover the payment from good debtors or in order to motivate the fresh debtors, good debtors to make the prompt payment, the provision for discount is allowed to the debtors. So, now let us see how this will be dealt. It is also calculated as a percentage on the net sundry debtors. It means remaining after subtracting the new provision for bad debts and further bad debts. As I have already advised you that while making a provision for discount on debtors, these two things, what are these two things? Further bad debts and amount of new provision for bad debts. These two things must be subtracted from the amount of sundry debtors which are provided in the trial balance. Then on the net amount, or what we can, the good amount of debtors, the amount of provision for discount on debtor is provided. For example, if sundry debtors amount to rupees 40,000 and the firm wants to create a provision for bad debts at the rate of 5% and a provision for discount on debtors at the rate of 2%, they will be calculated. So, well friends, here the informations which are provided to us is that the amount of debtors given in the trial balance is 40,000. So, first of all we need to create a provision on debt, provision for doubtful debts on the amount of sundry debtors at the rate of 5%. So, 5% of 40,000 comes to rupees 2,000. So, now the good amount of debtors remain 38,000. So, therefore, the provision for discount on debtor must be made at the rate of 2% on the amount of good debtor, and the amount of good debtor is 38,000. So, therefore, the provision for discount on debtor comes to rupees 760, that is at the rate of 2% on 38,000. Note that when both provision for bad debts and provision for discount on debtors are to be calculated, the provision for bad debts is calculated first. Yes, again I would like to advise to my learners that when provision for bad debts and provision for discount on debtors both are given simultaneously in the question, then of course first of all we should make a provision for bad and doubtful debts, and then we should make a provision for discount on debtor. So, provision for doubtful debts will be created first, and thereafter the provision for discount on debtors will be made. The adjustment entry for provision for discount on debtors is as follow. So, this provision for discount on debtor, as I have already made it very clear to my learners, that this amount of cash discount which we provide to the good debtors is always provided to motivate the good debtors to make the prompt payment. So, this is a loss for the business, this is an expense for the business. So, being any expense or loss is always charged from the profit and loss account. Therefore, this amount of discount on debtor will also be charged from the profit and loss account. Therefore, it needs to be debited, that is profit and loss account debit to provision for discount on debtors. The provision for discount on debtors will be shown in the final accounts as follow. First of all, on the debit side of profit and loss account, because discount on debtor is a loss for the business and any loss and expenses will always be shown in the debit side of profit and loss account. Then the amount of discount on debtor will also be subtracted from the amount of good debtor, and after the deduction of discount from the good debtor, the net amount will be shown in the asset side of the balance sheet. So, here I would like to advise to my learners that when each and everything is provided pertaining to the debtors, that is bad debts, further bad debts, new provision, old provision and provision for discount on debtor, when all these informations are provided in a question, then how to deal all the information as far as the reflection of the balance sheet is concerned. It is very simple that the amount of debtor which is provided in the trial balance. So, from that amount of debtor, we must subtract three things. First of all, we must subtract the amount of further bad debts, and amount of further bad debts will always be provided in adjustments as additional information. So, please remember this sequence, otherwise students will not be able to calculate the exact amount of debtor which need to be shown in the asset side of the balance sheet. This is very important, and they must try to understand, they must not mug it up, rather they must not cram it, they must try to understand that how the provisions are made as far as the provision for doubtful debt is concerned, as far as the new provision is concerned, as far as the provision for discount is concerned. So, if they will try to understand, then definitely without any problem they would be able to charge the exact amount of provision for bad debts from profit and loss account, and they would be able to reflect the true amount of debtors in the asset side of the balance sheet. So, the sequence is that first of all they should subtract the amount of further bad debts which is provided in the provided outside the trial balance in the additional informations, that is in adjustment. Then after subtracting the amount of further bad debts from the amount of debtor which is provided in the trial balance, then on this net amount they should make a new provision, maybe at the rate of 5% or 6% or 10%, whatever rate of provision is given in the question. So, based on that rate they must make a new provision on the net amount of debtor. So, net amount of debtor is debtor minus further bad debts is net amount. So, on this net amount the provision for doubtful debts will be maintained. Now, after determining the amount of new provision, then in order to calculate the amount of provision for discount on debtors, we must subtract two things from the amount of debtors. The amount of debtor which is provided in the trial balance, first of all what we subtracted, amount of further bad debts. Then second number, what we will subtract, the amount of new provision. So, after subtracting these two things, further bad debts and amount of new provision for doubtful debts. So, after subtracting these two things from the amount of debtor, we must make a provision for discount on the fresh debtors, on the good debtors, on this balance amount of debtors. So, this after subtracting the amount of provision for discount on debtor, then the net amount will be shown in the asset side of the balance sheet. And as far as the amount which need to be debited or credited to the profit and loss account, so for that I have already suggested a very simple equation to my learners, and that equation was bad debts plus further bad debts plus new provision minus old. So, bad debts means the amount of bad debts which is provided in the trial balance plus further bad debts. So, the amount of further bad debts is the bad debts which is provided in adjustment as additional information plus new provision. So, new provision we need to calculate, and I have already advised that how to calculate the new provision for doubtful debts. So, new provision for doubtful debts is always created after subtracting the amount of further bad debts from the amount of debtors which have been provided in the trial balance, and then minus old. Bad debts plus further bad debts plus new provision minus old provision. So, old provision which is given in the trial balance, or the amount of provision for doubtful debts which is provided in the credit side of the trial balance. So, this is how we show the net amount in the debit and credit side of profit and loss account. So, if we apply this equation and if we arrive at a positive amount, it means the surplus amount. So, this amount is shown as will be shown in the debit side of profit and loss account, and when we apply this equation and if we arrive at a negative amount, so that amount will be shown in the credit side of profit and loss account. Instead of debit side, the negative amount will be shown in the credit side of profit and loss account. So, here the provision for discount on debtor will be shown in the final accounts. First point on the debit side of profit and loss account, and then second point will be deducted from debtors on the asset side of the balance sheet. The balance of provision for discount on debtor account will be carried forward to the next year, and the discount allowed, if any, in the next year will be set off against the provision for this discount. The method of dealing with discount allowed and provision for discount on debtor in the next year is similar to the method of followed in case of bad debts and provision for bad debts. So, here the discount allowed is treated as bad debts and provision for discount on debtor is treated as provision for bad debts, doubtful debts. Then the next provision is provision for discount on creditors. So, when we make the credit sale to our customer, and in order to recover the amount from the customers at the earliest, we generally motivate them by providing the cash discounts. Likewise, when we buy the goods on credit basis from our supplier, so we also receive the cash discount from the suppliers. The supplier also offer us a cash discount if we make the prompt payments to them. So, this provision for discount on debtor is always shown in the credit side of profit and loss account, and the provision for discount on debtor, this amount will also be subtracted from the amount of creditors, and the net amount will be shown in the liabilities side of the balance sheet under the head current liabilities. So, this is how we deal with this adjustment, that is provision for discount on creditors. The expected gain or loss on account of discount receivable from the creditors in the next year should also be taken into account at the time of preparing the final accounts. Such a provision is called provision for discount on creditors. The adjustment entry for provision for discount on creditors is passed as follow. The provision for discount on creditor account debit to profit and loss account. So, here why did we credit the profit and loss account? Because the cash discount on account of provision for discount on creditors is an income for the business, and when there is any income, the income is also transferred to the profit and loss account, and in such a case the profit and loss account is credited, and when we provide a discount to our customer, in that case it is a loss for the business, and the loss is always transferred to the profit and loss account, and in that case profit and loss account need to be debited. So, in case of gains and revenue, profit and loss account need to be credited, and as far as in case of loss and expenses, the profit and loss account need to be debited. The provision for discount on creditors will appear in the final accounts as follow. So, as I have already told to my learners that being the income for the business, the provision for discount on creditors, first it will be shown in the credit side of profit and loss account, and then second deducted from the, it will be deducted from the creditors, and the remaining amount, that is the net amount, will be shown as net creditors in the liability side of the balance sheet. Next one is manager's commission. So sometimes the managers may also be entitled to a commission on profit earned by the business. So such commission is usually calculated as a fixed percentage on profits. Suppose the net profit of a firm after taking into consideration all expenses except the manager's commission is rupees 60,000, and the manager is entitled to a commission of 5% on profit before charging such commission. So 5% of 60,000 is 3,000. So this 3,000 will be shown in the debit side of profit and loss account, because when we provide the commission to the managers, so it is an expense for the business, and therefore being expenses, it is to be debited to the profit and loss account. However, it is still to be paid, and therefore it should be treated as an outstanding expenses, because we have made a provision of it. Therefore, when the manager's commission is given in the adjustments outside the trial balance, then the amount of commission, that is rupees 3,000, which is payable, first it must be debited to the profit and loss account, because the amount has not been paid yet. Therefore, it will also be shown in the liability side of the balance sheet under the head current liabilities, because the amount is yet to be paid. It has not been paid up to the end of the financial year. So when in the adjustments as additional information, when it is given that the manager's commission has to be calculated on profit after charging such commission, then we need to apply this formula, and this formula is percentage of commission. If the percentage of commission is 10%, then here it is 10% divided by 100 plus percentage of commission. It means 100 plus 10%. So it is 110%, 10% divided by 100% into net profit before commission. So here the amount of profit, it means the excess of credit side of profit and loss account over the debit side of profit and loss account. So here when the percentage of commission is given outside the trial balance as an additional information, and when it is mentioned that manager commission has to be provided after charging such commission, then this equation need to be applied, rate upon 100 plus rate into net profit before commission. Otherwise, if in the question it is given that manager's commission has to be calculated on profits before charging such commission, then we need not apply this equation. Rather, very simple, we will calculate the amount of commission. It means net profit before commission, it means the excess of credit side of profit and loss account over the debit side, and then at the percentage mentioned, we can easily calculate the percentage of commission. But when specifically it is mentioned that it has to be calculated after charging such commission, then this formula need to be applied, rate upon 100 plus rate multiply by the net profit before commission. Then the next one is abnormal loss of stock. Yes, of course, friends, when on account of natural disaster, or when on account of something which is beyond the control of the human being, any loss has taken place, is called abnormal loss. So in course of business, some loss of stock may occur. It may occur in transit or in the godown. Such loss of stock may be normal or abnormal. Normal loss is due to inherent characteristics of goods such as evaporation, which is not under the control of the human being, subdivision, drying up of goods, etc., etc. On the other hand, if the loss occurs on account of reasons which are accidental or very rare, the loss is termed as abnormal loss. The example of such losses are theft of goods, destruction of goods by fire, etc. The normal loss does not require any special treatment in the books of accounts. It is absorbed by the remaining units whose cost is inflated by such loss. Say for example, if we have a stock of goods, say for example, if we have 200 units of goods costing rupees 20,000. So, out of 200 units, say for example, if 100 units were lost on account of evaporation. So, here the cost of 20,000 will be applicable to the 1900 units, because out of 2000, 100 units are lost. So, now earlier the cost of the per unit was say 20,000 divided by 2000. So, the cost of per unit was rupees 10 per unit, but now 100 units have been destroyed on account of evaporation. So, now we have only 1900 units. So, now this cost of 20,000 will be applicable for 1900 units. So, accordingly the cost of the remaining units will be inflated. So, now the cost per unit would be 11 something, right. But the abnormal loss has to be shown separately in the books of the account after the amount of such loss is ascertained. The following adjustment entry will be passed. Say for example, if goods is lost by fire, so this is a loss for the business. So, if it is a loss for the business, loss has always to be debited. So, the journal entry would be loss by fire account debit to trading account, because we deal the goods with trading account, all the transactions relating to the goods will always be charged to the trading account. So, here we have loss of goods by fire, therefore, loss of goods by fire would be transferred to the trading account. Then here are the situations when the stock is not insured. So, when we get the goods lost and we do not have the goods insured. In case the stock is not insured, the total abnormal loss will be transferred to the profit and loss account, and the following entry will be passed: profit and loss account debit to loss by fire or loss by theft, whatever. Second situation may be when the stock is fully insured. So, in such a case, the total amount of loss is paid by the insurance company. In that case, the firm does not suffer any loss, because whatever the amount of loss has taken place will be met out by the insurance company. So, nothing is debited to the profit and loss account. The journal entry will be passed as follow: insurance company account debit to loss by fire, because the amount of loss we have to recover from the insurance company. So, unless the insurance company makes the payment of the loss, we will treat the insurance company as our debtor, and debtor is an asset and all the asset has the debit balance. Therefore, the account of insurance company would be debited. Then the third one is when the loss is partially insured. So, in this case, the loss is partially insured, the amount of insurance claim is debited to insurance company's account, and the remaining loss would be debited to the profit and loss account. Say for example, if there is a loss of rupees 5,000 on account of fire. So, out of loss of rupees 5,000, the insurance company admitted only rupees 2,000. So, here in this case, we will debit the insurance company by rupees 2,000, and the remaining loss of rupees 3,000 would be debited by profit and loss account. So, the journal entry would be insurance company account debit 2,000, profit and loss account debit 3,000 to abnormal loss, that is loss by fire or loss by theft. Thus, the treatment of abnormal loss in final accounts is as follows: credit the trading account with the total loss. So, whatever amount of goods has been damaged on account of theft or fire will be credited in the trading account. Then, in case of uninsured stock, debit profit and loss account with full amount. So, when we do not have the insurance of goods, so the entire amount of loss will be debited to the debit side of profit and loss account. In case of fully insured loss, insurance claim will be shown in the asset side of the balance sheet as a debtor. And third, in case of partially insured loss, the amount of insurance claim is shown in the asset side, and the amount which was not insured will be charged from the debit side of profit and loss account. Illustration. So, this illustration will make you very clear. We had a stock of rupees 40,000 which was destroyed by fire. Insurance company admitted a claim of rupees 30,000 only. So, pass the necessary journal entries and show how will it be treated in the final account. So, it is very simple. Journal entry is very simple. Loss by fire account debit to trading account 40,000 because the total stock of rupees 40,000 was destroyed. Then the second one is out of 40,000 only rupees 30,000 were admitted by the insurance company. So, insurance company account debit 30,000. The remaining loss of 10,000 will be debited by profit and loss account. So, profit and loss account debit 10,000 to loss by fire 40,000. So, now how will it be shown? So, total loss of rupees 40,000 of goods will be shown in the credit side of trading account, and in the debit side of profit and loss account 10,000, because out of the loss of 40,000, 30,000 were admitted by the insurance company as a claim. So, only loss of rupees 10,000 will be debited to the profit and loss account, and since the claim will be paid by the insurance company, so we will treat insurance company as a debtor unless the insurance company makes the payment. So, therefore, rupees 30,000 will be shown in the asset side of the balance sheets. So, this is how the accounts, this is how this treatment would be done as far as the abnormal loss is concerned. So, I think this was all about the adjustment while preparing the financial statements. I am sure that the students will now be very thorough, very clear as far as dealing the adjustments while preparing the financial statement is concerned. Thank you very much.